Welcome back. Moving forward in this short lesson, I'm going to demonstrate how to basically copy this button. We created this in our last lesson here, which is the post delivery request button. I'm just going to go ahead and just select the button here, do a Control C and Control V, and this is going to copy the button. But notice what happens is it actually allows me to move relative because I have the constraint set, and it's much easier for me to move the button here within on my design area. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and place the button right below here, and I'm going to change the text here. So ID here is button 4. I'm going to call this button 4 driver, and then scroll down to my text area, and this is going to come from the string as well. So I'm going to change the string here, and I'm going to call this, I think this button that we're creating here is for drivers, right? So we did the post delivery request, and this has become a driver. There we go. I was just forgetting the name quick here. So I'm going to say become a driver. So add string become driver. Perfect. So as soon as I use the add string, it pulls from my styles.xml, which is right here. So if I click on styles.xml, or not styles, I'm sorry, it's called the strings.xml. And then here's the post delivery request. And then on top here, it also says become a driver. I also have a drop down 2 for the post delivery request. Let's see, what did I select? So let me go to our activity main and become a driver attributes. So become driver, right? So I want to change this. I would not want this. I'm going to go to strings and then use and create another one just for this. So I'm going to call this become driver, and then the text here, because the top ones are for the drop down menu that we created earlier in one of the earlier lessons. Here we're looking at the two areas: post delivery request, become a driver for the buttons. And of course I can always do a comment here so it's easy for us to identify, right? Strings related to buttons on main activity screen. Okay, so this is better. Gives us a better idea and keeps things ranged. So once I have this, so I'm just going to go ahead back to my design here, and then instead of choosing become a driver, I'm going to say become underscore a driver. Perfect, much better. So now we have two buttons with similar layout because we copied the attributes, right? Or copied the properties. Hide this. So now our app is looking good, and there are no warnings so far, right? Of course, all we did so far is create the button. So if you were to navigate to, let's say, the text here, and again, you can work with the properties, like you change the background, right? You can change the background, you can text size, layouts, and so forth. So it's really up to you. Go to the button here again. This is the driver button. Here's the ID, given add ID. So what's happening here is that as soon as you drag and drop a button, this is automatically created for you, which is a good thing, okay? So you don't have to type all of these attributes here within the XML file. So this is your button for the driver, called button underscore driver, and this is your button for the post shipment, even though it says ID here. So let's see if we can modify this so that we're consistent with our buttons, right? So we have the top button here and then the bottom, just two buttons on the main activity.xml. So let's head back to our design and bring up the properties of this, and it says button 3, right? So I want to change this to say post underscore delivery request. So now if I go back to my text, it should reflect the same name. Perfect, much better. You can also notice that the layout width for the top button is 211, and then the height is 55 density pixels. And here we want to make sure that the buttons are the same width and height. That way you can just do a comparison of all of the attributes by just simply looking at them. So in this lesson, just wanted to quickly demonstrate how you can actually create a button. So if you were to, let's say, run it and see it in the emulator, why not? Let's save the changes. And once the changes are saved, I'm going to go ahead and how our button is going to look like. And as a homework, go ahead, create your own buttons, do your own coloring, set your own properties for each of these buttons, the font style, the text, just basic areas that you need to work on at this point in time. Perfect. So our Gradle build is finished. Let's go ahead and bring up our emulator. Virtual devices, okay. And this is going to go ahead and open up our Android emulator, and perfect. So we have buttons. And of course, they may look different, right? Because you may see them on the background here as being closer, but yet on the app screen, they may be smaller at this point, or you may want to make them bigger. And of course, you could do so. So go ahead as a homework, take a look at these buttons, and then increase the size. And as a quick tip, of course, just go to text and then change the size of these buttons here. So that way, when you increase the size or the width or the height, they're going to change accordingly. So see, based on your own requirement, what it is that you are actually looking for when you're creating these buttons on the screen. So our activity main screen is looking pretty nice. We have our menu bar. We have, of course, the drop-down menu, become a driver, which is the same as this button. Post delivery request, which is the same as this button. Then, of course, a couple of other support in terms of service, which at this point do not link to anything. It just displays, let's say if I click on terms of service, it just says terms of service and the toast. Moving forward, of course, we are going to create navigations and additional activity screens. But at this point, just quickly want to demonstrate how to create a button. Hope this helps. Practice with this. Let's move to the next lesson.